Who is my programming hero and why? I would have to say that my programming hero is Edward Dijkstra. I really respect him because he's like the type of guy who kind of advanced the state of the art of computer science, but also was kind of, hands-on. He like understood practical software development. He had a lot of good thoughts about how to structure, programs. He had the famous like manifesto where he talked about like why GoTo was harmful. But at the same time, he invented all these cool algorithms, like Dijkstra's shortest path. And that to me is like amazing. Someone who can like think and advance the state of the art of the science, but just dive into the nitty-gritty details at the same time. I would tell myself to read more of the code that's out there and try to find existing projects, either in open source or that are just like publicly available to contribute to. Because I feel like, when I first started, I was very kind of academically oriented. I was just like taking classes and doing assignments. But I think to really get good at the day-to-day practical side of programming, you really need to understand like what are the mechanics of working collaboratively on a real project that has a real use case, filing bugs, doing code reviews, things like that. I feel like it's good to get into that early, and I think that gives you a huge advantage when you're first picking things up. So I'm gonna have to do a shameless plug here and say SourceLib, which is this open source project that I created with a friend and now business partner of mine at SourceGraph. What it is, it's basically this open source code analysis library that abstracts away the specifics of language analysis. So we have like language-specific analysis tool chains for a bunch of different languages. They all tie into this single unified core that emits a language-agnostic, basically representation of the code graph that then gets consumed by like anything that wants to do anything with code. So it could be like editor plugins, IDEs, web browser interfaces that want to let you do like jump to definition, find usages, things like that. And it's just had a really big impact on my life, not just because I created it, but also because I think it's really like fundamentally improved the pace at which I'm able to develop code. Because now, using this library, I've been able to build an interface on top of that lets me like browse code in a really fluid manner. And that's what I'm doing most of the day. It's not actually like writing code. It's reading through existing code that either I wrote a long time ago, someone else on my team wrote, or someone in open source wrote, and trying to figure out what that code does, understanding what it does, and figuring out how I'm supposed to use it. Most exciting thing in software? That's a really tough question. Let me think. I think the most exciting thing in software is just the fact that like software is starting to invade like every part of our lives, and like that's been the case, for the last 10 years. People keep saying that, but I think it's still early days. Like there's still so much that can be automated and sort of made better. We're starting to see now like companies that we don't really consider like high tech, like the Cargills and the Krogers of the world. They're starting to become like tech companies. Like a lot of their big internal projects are starting to revolve around building software to support the humans inside their organization to do to run the business. And I think that in the next like 10 or 20 years, every interesting company, every large company is going to become a software company at its core. So it's just the fact that we're in this, we're building the code that's literally going to revolutionize the way people work in the next 10 or 20 years. There's nothing I'd rather be doing than building the graph of all the source code in the world, which is what we're doing at SourceGraph. What's the weirdest face? Okay. Is that weird enough? Thank you so much.
Good job, man.
All right.
You did really well.